Today's episode's brought to you by Flipadelphia. Flipadelphia.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. Despite the fact that I didn't put names in the overlay, you know who we are. We are also joined this week by two prominent community members, each of a grand finals participant. Today, we are joined, and please join us in welcoming Omnistrife from the Vancouver Titans fan podcast, ReadySetPwn. And the Shockwaves community manager, Beej the Square. How you guys doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for having us on today.
Yeah, doing great. A sunny day in Vancouver. It's a rarity, so we get to cherish that.
Yeah, Vancouver and Buffalo certainly have a lot in common, and Deathblow certainly has his mic muted, but he will.
I was just laughing. He sounds so much more Canadian than he did in the pre-show. What happened?
How's that going, fellas?
It's
Apology incoming.
Yeah,
the
live
performance
is
is on.
Turning up to 11.
Yeah, I mean, I usually sound a lot more New York, NYXL during the show, but they didn't have a big enough sandbag for me to fit in. Self-burn.
To be fair, I've lived in Canada for like only 3 years, so.
Well, I mean, you've got it down at the very least.
You do. When you turn it on, you've got it, man.
That's great.
You've absolutely got it. But we're going to be talking all about the grand finals, because guess what? The grand finals are coming up. Super Bowl. Not actually affiliated with the real Super Bowl. The Super Bowl of Overwatch League is happening, and we are super excited. We wanted to get some real fan engagement and interaction here, because Deathblow and I and my teams got ceremoniously eliminated at varying parts in the the season and postseason. So we wanted two glimmers of hope, two representatives that actually have some skin in the game to come here and talk about their teams. And maybe, I mean, just based on the pre-show and the zaniness that's been going on already, I have a feeling there's going to be some tangents, some wackiness, some banter.
It's not even meta anymore, but I'll keep it handy.
Oh, man.
I have an arsenal that we can get to if necessary.
Yeah,
careful with that hammer.
There has been...
Well, that's the only legal weapon here in Canada, so I'll keep the bumper hammer right handy.
Yes, the bumper hammer, indeed.
I'll put it on the bench where it belongs.
Oh man, we're already getting the references going. But let's start off here with a little bit of housekeeping for the grand finals, because Deathblow and myself are going to be there, and we're going to be doing a Saturday night meetup at Palladium. It's a bar I believe in South Philly. Just Google Palladium, spell it out phonetically.
Very close to the stadium.
Yeah, very close to the stadium. We're going to have Thorn from Blackwatch Report, and I believe Frito from Your Overwatch is also. We're all collabing on here. We're all getting everyone in to the same place, and we're doing a little bit like we did last year, just a low-key, just sort of nice hangout at a bar. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Keep an eye on the grand finals text channel in the Discord as well as Twitter, just to make sure that we don't change any of the details. And just one note here, this is a bar, and we're not we didn't rent it out or anything. So if you're under 21, just call ahead and make sure that you can actually get in, because I don't know. I mean, as a public announcement, I'm not sneaking in any underage people to a bar, just as a public announcement that is being seen publicly. I'm not sneaking in anyone. But what I'm saying is just call ahead to make sure you can get it.
Just put them in the sandbag and just...
Oh, man, it's not going to end. I thought this was going to be... I was really hoping that you guys would focus your attacks on each other.
Yeah, we brought them here to troll each other. Everything's been focused at us, and I got to say, I love it.
The one thing we get to agree upon is this meme of that. So,
That's true. That is true. I'm sure you guys are going to have plenty of pointed attacks at each other coming up. I'm just waiting for first blood to be drawn because I think right now you guys are testing the waters, throwing some shade at the host. But once first blood is drawn,
easy pickings at the Houston and NYXL fans.
That's true, and Toronto as well. But last piece of housekeeping here: Blackhawks Report just recorded their newest episode. They covered the 5K Rivalcade Rumble. Make sure you check your podcast feeds. That will be out very shortly. And if you're listening to this in podcast land, it is probably already out. But we will continue the show here as we always do and talk about what our weeks were like here this past week. And let's start with our guest here, Beej. How was your week, buddy? What'd you do?
It's been pretty good. Combination of just trying to not freak out that we're in the grand finals, not stress out about said grand finals, resist every temptation in my body to impulse buy a flight to Philly and go to the grand final. Just normal, calm, regular stuff.
I'll give you a ticket if you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
We have it.
Yeah.
If you go, we have it.
Resist.
We have if you want a ticket, we got one for you. And they're pretty good seats, just saying. Well,
yeah, I just gotta go play more WoW.
If we hear some furious clacking and a minus $500 sign on the screen, we might know exactly what happened to Beej. But
don't mind me. Just like if you see a suitcase in the background, like don't worry about it. I'll still hear you. It's fine.
Just lighting some money on fire. But Omni, how about you? How was your week?
I don't know. It's been pretty weird not having any Overwatch to watch. 2 really calm weeks before the storm. I've actually done the unthinkable, played a bunch of Overwatch. It's actually a game that you can log onto your computer and play.
People play that game?
Yeah. It plays you more, but
yeah, mood.
Yeah, totally.
Deathblow are well. I'm not even gonna try to pretend like they're my team at all. But the local Buffalo team for football here. How are we doing?
Well, you might be referring to the soon-to-be Super Bowl champion Buffalo Bills as they extended their record to 3-0 this week. #championship. Don't at me, especially next week after we play that game. But I also built this shelf. I talked about it last week. Finally got that up and put up so I can finally display some of my merch instead of having the dry erase board that I have no artistic ability to fill, and also just kept falling down multiple times on my head while I was sitting at my computer. Yep. So glad to have that over with, and sure hope that's a good job hanging the shelf so that doesn't fall on me next.
Yeah, when I think about it, it looks like I'm recording from an asylum or something because I just moved to this apartment and all my shit is on this side. So
yeah, it looks like you're not allowed to have anything in there. And
yeah, I'll need just to bring stuff from here.
See, I just have one singular door, and there's 2 other doors on the other side that are right here. Like I hit a door. I mean, this is a confined space. No, not really.
I have this signed jersey, but I don't know. I cannot really place it that far, but.
Yeah, I have one of these days. Maybe I'll take a video of all the stupid toys and collectibles I have on the mantle that's in front of me, or maybe I'll just move my setup to.
You can do it now.
At some point.
We just do a grand tour of everyone's swag and things that they own, and
yeah, well, I'm not going to do that because as an audio mostly podcast, that might be the most boring thing imaginable.
You can
speaking of the most,
you can describe
we have a limited edition Houston
detail.
3rd jersey.
Yeah.
But speaking of the most boring thing for an Overwatch podcast listener to hear, my week was filled with mostly teamfight tactics stuff and a bunch of other non-Overwatch related stuff. I need to get to log back into Overwatch because I just need to get. It's been so long since I've actually played, and it looks good, and I feel like I want to play. Yeah, I want the Lego Bastion skin
Brick one?
well.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It'll also give me an excuse to spam Bastion, which is always something that I am looking for.
One of those.
And it makes him even more tilting in a way. I don't know why.
Yeah, when you know that he's made out of Legos, you know that it's even more tilting. And everyone listening to the show, yeah, I did just press the "Come on, Eileen" button because you know what, Eileen is going to be in the grand finals just for no reason. He is now since I pressed the button. But we are going to move on to some actual news here.
News.
First piece of news here. I mean, DB, this hits close to home for you. We got Tyrong and Hung Woo were let go from the Houston Outlaws coaching staff. What are your thoughts on this one?
Finally, I mean, this is like it needed to happen. Tyrone started so good with Houston, gave him kind of that initial burst or whatever gave it to him. It's hard to say, but it was the decision making within that team hurt them more than anything else. There's other issues with the roster, things like that for sure. But I don't think anybody really honestly believes they lived up to their potential for what they had in the locker room, especially considering second year, their hands were tied. They couldn't have made big roster moves if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So the shortcomings really have to fall organizationally and on the coaching staff. So we don't know for sure if they're done kind of cleaning things out. Well, we don't know obviously what the players are going to do. The more I see, the more I think Flame's probably still going to be there. Doesn't have to mean anything good or bad. Like I said, he definitely took on a bit of the kind of public facing what I want the head coach to do and address the comp decisions, what they're playing, and obviously Tyrone not really able to do that for an English speaking Houston team.
Right.
But it's so I'll reserve judgment there. I do really like the roster that he put together initially. He made the one move I wanted more than anything to acquire Dante in the offseason. So, apart from maybe not having the foresight to bring in a solid tracer player to begin with, really I think that's been his one shining failure so far. And then really the rest is just kind of what comes with the territory. When you stand up and defend your coaches, you share some of the blame with the decisions and things like that. But we'll never know how involved he was or know if it's right that he doesn't take more of the blame, anything like that. But either way, it was a change that had to happen. So I'm glad they didn't wait and didn't hold on, and we can just kind of move forward and look at season 3 with fresh set eyes.
Yeah. Well, Omni, I know you obviously aren't as big a Houston Outlaws fan, but any takes on this, coaching staff change for Houston?
Yeah. We have actually someone on our pod who is kind of like his third or second team as the Houston, so we always give him crap for that. Houston, to me, in this season was a type of team that I really criticized in how the coaching was handled, where when we were deep into GOAT's territory, they were super risk averse, and I didn't really see why you would not try and put a different twist on what you were doing with the type of players you have on your roster. It didn't really make sense to me. So they were really slow to adjust and pick up on something that would have been probably more helpful. But I think a lot of coaches share that notion, and in my opinion, people were just afraid to lose despite not playing GOATs, and they would rather play GOATs safely and just lose that way. I don't know, very risk-averse type of coaching there. So I'm happy for Houston. There's definitely some core pieces that you can build around. It seems from different rumors that the offseason is going to be crazy, so it's definitely a right way, because the season was definitely a failure. To me, a lot of teams definitely need to revamp their entire approach in my eyes. So
yeah. For sure. Beej, any thoughts or last words on Tyrone?
I think one of the reasons why it took so long to really see anything on this front just had a lot to do with, kind of the big elephant in the room with them in terms of the ownership changes and all that sort of thing.
True.
I think with that being said, that it's really hard to tell if this is going to be kind of the one big thing or if this is just the start of like a complete overhaul, because you can never really predict what somebody's mindset's going to be kind of coming into the space. And I think another big thing that they were kind of hesitant on was just one of Houston's biggest draws was just that initial roster that they had. Yeah. That was kind of what the fan bases rallied around for so long. They've had certain favorite players. Just that group has kind of become like their core little family bit. And I know it's always really hard to part with players like that. I mean, the fans have such a close connection to them. But I think another one of the reasons why they wanted to wait on that is just they were kind of like, hey, we don't have a winning record. We need to get an owner. Let's hold on to this one thing, which is this attention that we have, this fan base that we have, so that we can at least, find an ownership group that's interested in having this and having this community, and then let's go from there. So I honestly have no clue what they're going to do, and we'll have to see. It could be huge, or it could be nothing.
Yeah, it seems like Oh, go ahead.
Traditional sports, just wanted to mention like a small thing. Usually you see the coach as the first thing to go. So maybe that's like just the first step.
Yeah, you don't get rid of the players until the new coach that you want to bring in is here,
Evaluates.
and then let him
Right.
decide what he wants, right?
Yeah,
Since
blame
he
him
is
when they're
down
not
on
good.
the line, right, based on their performance. He's got to have some say in the roster. So it makes a lot of sense. We see this, but also the lack of, we're not going to go into it, I promise, but the lack of transparency in the league. They could have already let go players, and we just don't know. And the players were just asked not to say anything, or they were told they're not going to be renewed. But you're still under contract, and you can't violate it, so you can't go out there and spread the news like
Right.
wildfire. So.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like I think that, I mean, we talked about it on the show before. Like, these initial contracts from season 1 are ending now, and I think the teams have learned a lot in these last 2 seasons, and I think this is probably, I mean, with the exception of obviously the initial creation of the teams, is going to be the biggest, probably the last biggest change to the like shakeup of the league in terms of rosters that we'll probably ever see, unless there's some other weird new thing changed about the league. But moving on here, last piece of news involves some cleaning of the house with the Shanghai Dragons as well, and in addition, Bluehouse and Levi, the head and assistant coach for the Shanghai Dragons, have left, and Moon has been hired as the head coach for the Shanghai Dragons. Do we know anything about these guys? Any sort of insights here? Anyone have anything on these changes?
Well, everything I've heard so far says we've not seen the last of Blue. And Moon came over from the Valiant, right? Like he's been around. I think he went from the Valiant to the Shanghai Dragons academy team. I know he was with, I think they're called Team CC. He was with them directly. That's like they were like basically promoted him or called him up. I'm not sure if he is the Valiant guy. I believe so though. Either you guys know, Omni or Beej?
Not
I think
really.
you got it right.
I think
I think it makes a lot of sense that they would also make a change. Like they had a really tumultuous season, I guess, and how they gained their first win, and then in stage 3 they got, everybody thought, oh, this is going to be great, and then kind of they into 2-2. So another for it.
interesting. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, one of the things that's always kind of bugged me a little bit in terms of staff is that you always kind of see teams go to, hey, this name's open, like let's go snag that. And I'd kind of like to see teams actually go and kind of get somebody that's less known or somebody that's doing well in tier 2 or something like that and kind of give them a shot, give like a fresh pair of eyes a chance to maybe do something. Because we haven't necessarily seen a whole bunch of times where you have a coach that was let go from a team and picked up by another team succeed extremely well. I mean, we've seen kind of like a trade between Boston and the Shock, and that's kind of an exception of the rule. But I'd kind of like to see teams kind of take a chance on somebody else.
I totally agree with you, but I think it's just part of this whole big pattern of teams really, really scared of taking any risks or something that might be perceived. And maybe people are afraid for their jobs, and there's not a lot of positions, right, in the Overwatch League. Maybe that's part of it. I'm not really sure, but people are super risk averse, and that
could also be traditional sports orgs going, we don't know what to look for on this. Oh, this person was on this and this. They should
right
and kind of do that.
Good old.
It could definitely be it. They kind of call it a retread coach in football, at least. You know, you kind of, do you really want to go hire a retread, or do you want to go get the young upstart offensive coordinator from a college team or something like that? So it's definitely a bit of an interesting question, you know, especially looking at this roster. Shanghai really excelled in stage 3. Why? Because they stepped out of the meta. They went into playing and featuring the Sombra composition much earlier than anybody else did. And, you know, you got a guy like Moon who, listen, at the end of the day, this is the guy that benched Custa because he was too smart in order to play. And, like, he's just a little bit known for being that
Gamsu is sweating right now.
That risk averse, that I'm just going to play the meta. And granted, in the past, it worked for him in season 1. So it's not like this can't work for Shanghai. I thought the Valiant vastly overperformed the talent on their roster. He oversaw the huge shakeup they had in the middle of the season and turned that team into the second seed, or the second place team in the standings on top of the Atlantic Conference. Pacific Conference. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. It does seem a little bit safe, but we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, it does seem like you could probably find like a good contenders coach, and it would be a good investment, right? Because I would imagine, maybe I'm wrong here, that you could probably negotiate a lower salary just in general for contenders coach, and like how much. I mean, being in the Overwatch League itself is definitely going to be a valuable piece of experience. Like, you don't want to have to like do the stupid stuff of like, okay, this is how the scheduling works. Like, you're living in a team house now. You do the blah blah blah. Like, you want, especially now, like specifically for season 2, we didn't see it a lot because it's like, yeah, well, we want someone who already knows how to do this because we're going to be changing it anyway. So like, we don't want to have to teach someone and get someone reacclimated with like, okay, well, this is the cadence for the games, and on off days we do this, and we do this with the team, and blah 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 blah. It's like, we're just going to get like you said, the retread coach here, get him in for this season because it's all going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more new pickups going into season 3 because it's a completely new environment, right? We're going to be doing the traveling thing, so everyone's going to be learning it new as we go. So wouldn't be too surprised. And if you're a contenders coach, I would definitely get your resume up, get your LFT Owl team or LF Owl team twit longers
Get that
ready.
pinned tweet up.
Yeah,
Only once like a team at risk see success, other teams will follow. Now it's like a weird chicken game where they don't really try out of the box in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
We saw that this year too. You know, Shanghai went into Sombra, and then Houston goes wildly into DPS, and all of a sudden all the other teams are falling all over themselves to stop playing goats. And you know, so you can definitely see it. It's a bit of a pattern, but yeah, we'll see how that pans out over time, because somebody that comes in with an idea that works and innovates, everybody's going to copy that, and sometimes that'll mean, you know, going in a completely different direction. So
Yep. And Omni, if you can real quick just check your voice gate, because I think you were cutting out a little bit there. But we are going to be moving in here and doing some good old fashioned. It's tournament talk. So of course we've got the big show coming up here, the grand finals. But before we actually get down and break down the matchup, which we are going to do, we've got Deathblow has prepared some very nice graphics and charts and standings, maps and whatnot. Wanted to talk with our two guests here a little bit more about the community. So Omni, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about how the Vancouver fans can join in and connect with other Titans fans, and what you guys are doing here in general, and then specifically for grand finals.
Two main layers, how you can look at that, either like an e-presence or physically on the ground. And we're like one of the only like geolocated podcasts, really. All of the podcast team is here from Vancouver. So you can definitely, if you're not from the Pacific Northwest, you can definitely join the official Titans Discord. That's where the majority of fans are. But if you want to take it to a little bit to the next level, before bandwagon season really kicks in, I guess you can join our podcast's Discord and community. You can subscribe to the pod. This is where you'll get all the news about the team, how we are, meeting for, watch parties and stuff. And actually in Vancouver, you asked about the grand finals, right down here in downtown Vancouver in the Rogers Arena, what will become the official, home and base for the Vancouver Titans. The hockey arena, still owned by the Aquilinis. So we have our watch parties here. And we're going to have one for the grand finals. It's actually labeled the Bud Light Grand Finals. So it's kind of like an odd choice of a sponsorship. But you can see definitely me and the rest of the ReadySetPwn team there. And even if you're not like a Vancouver Titans fan, I urge you to join us in the pod. We actually have a weird review of a guy who claims Titans are not even in his top 5 teams, but he still listens to us. It's just it's kind of odd. So we're kind of like Yeah, we're kind of like every other podcast, but with less sadness because we're actually good.
Oh, Savage. But I guess I gotta take that. I am eternally. Actually, I'm happy most of the season. It's just It's just the important games I get sad about with being an NY fan. But Beej, how about you? You're the community manager for a primary fan organization. What kind of events did you guys run, and what have you got planned here for grand finals and for the Shock moving forward?
Yeah, so the SF Shockwaves is actually the official organizationally sponsored fan club of the Shock. We're run by a bunch of diehard fans that came together and decided we wanted to kind of have one central hub for the entire fan base, because we've had, a lot of player-specific fans come in. We've had a lot of online fans come in. We've had a lot of local but isolated fans, just because the SF Bay area is so big. And we even cover all the way up to Sacramento, which is probably a 2-hour drive from San Francisco, all the way down to the South Bay. And so there's a whole huge territory, and we kind of just wanted a group that could kind of help everybody rally under one banner and kind of support that Northern California team that we all care about so much. And so the SF Shock org themselves have been really great about providing us with space at all of their events to kind of promote the fan club and get people to join. We have our own jerseys and everything too now. And so we'll kind of make extra swag and give things out and kind of be that example of, here's the loudest fans, the most passionate fans, people cheering their heads off, making really cool fan art, just engaging the community and kind of just helping highlight really different Shock fans from around the world and giving them a place to kind of let that fandom for the team grow. And so coming up for Grand Final specifically, we do have the SF Shocker throwing a watch party in San Francisco. And so that'll be Sunday at the Stonestown Galleria in the city. And then there's also going to be a watch party down at AFKGG, which is a gaming lounge and bar over in Campbell, California, which is next to San Jose, so down in the South Bay. And so both of those events are going to be going on. And you can check out the Shockwaves Twitter if you haven't seen that before, if you're interested in attending those, if you're local. And if you want someone to just kind of chat with fans about the games and everything, the SF Shock Discord that we have is actually a pretty popular spot where people will talk about the games in real time. And that's always a lot of fun for people to kind of chime in and just, oh my God, did you see that headshot? Oh my God, I didn't. And so everyone kind of just freaks out together in a central hub.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot of places that people can kind of hang out together.
disappointed
I apologize. It is at
nobody-
the Detour is
Not
the
a
name
lot
of the place where the SF place is. The
Not a lot
SF
of,
party is at.
Not a lot of headshots now though, with Doomfist and Reaper, but
Well, I mean,
Reaper gets headshots. It's just
That's
hard
true, that's
It's
true,
hard
like-
to see.
inside all the pellets in the head.
when Doomfish punches their whole body out of existence, it's still technically like hitting their head.
You imagine if you could fist someone's head and get critical damage for that?
We're a PG-13 show.
This is high noon after hours. This is where the
Also,
creepy stuff
I just want to say I'll be a little disappointed if nobody in chat clips Beej to just the phrase "the SF Shock are throwing," because it was in there, and there was a little bit of a pause, and then a watch party. But I think if we edit it tastefully, we can get him, a little.
Do
out of context here.
not even. They will. That's the problem. They will.
I know.
Specific people in there. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. You know exactly who you are. There's like 3 of them.
Post it on Twitter, tag High Noon Podcast. We'll retweet it and tag all of the teams. And for some reason, Nate and Anzer as well. But that's really
Specifically
great.
who I'm looking at, I will ban you from that Discord.
We will promote you to VIP in our Discord if you get banned in that Discord. Don't worry. We are a safe haven for trolls. Don't worry.
Good trade-off.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I implore all Titans fans.
we're exchanging prisoners here. Prisoners of troll war. But that's great. I mean, this is the type of stuff that we brought you guys on for. The real fan communities. I mean, we as High Noon Podcast we are a more general fan community. Obviously, we have our own personal fandoms, but we are not specifically affiliated with one team or another. So if you're a Shock fan, if you're a Titans fan, go follow these places. And even if you're not, if you're just thinking about finding a cool fan community to be a part of, these are really great communities, and these are really great guys to represent those communities.
Thank you.
Really, yeah. I mean,
Everybody wants a safe haven where you can go and be amongst people that aren't gonna take shots at you or whatever, you know. And you want to be in both. You should want to be in both for sure. But yeah, it's nice to have that safe haven. And as two people that are very, you know, physically and a little bit just in general disconnected from the regions of our teams, you know, we are familiar with that struggle. It can be very difficult. So hopefully this was helpful for our listeners that are Shock fans or Titans fans to find somewhere where they can be amongst like-minded, similarly brainwashed friends.
Yeah, you know, it's nice to have a logical discourse where good points are brought up with counterpoints, and you know, you end up having a very good conclusion at the end, and you feel satisfied. It's also really good to just mindlessly root for a team and say, you know what, that other team sucks, and we're the best, and we're the greatest. It's
I don't think though that the Shock and Titans need to brainwash their fans into believing they're good, but
Shock had fans last year, bro.
so that's
At
Right?
proof.
We was
Hello.
there.
Hello.
We
Hi,
saw
I
it.
was there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's a thing. And you guys, the Titans
Last
will
season
get
was
there, my
nothing. I'm a
friend.
49ers fan. I'm used to that disappointment. It's fine.
let me not talk about the Vancouver Grizzlies or the Canucks.
I was gonna say, how long has
Mike
it been
Bibby
since
is
Canada's won a cup?
I mean, I've got-
it's been a bit.
Like
I've
the
got heart for
Raptors,
Canada.
but
You wanna
it's a
be that
different
sad.
story.
Yeah, the Toronto Raptors, just this the other side. We are taking credit for the Toronto Raptors win, okay? I can
Yeah, they're
see
They're more Buffalo than Vancouver.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the NBA Finals here. I'm not over that still.
There's a lot of Vancouverites that would agree with you.
Oh,
so.
that's right. Golden State. Screw Steph Curry. I'm actually going to ban Steph Curry from Twitch chat right now. Okay, he's banned. He's banned from our Discord. Steph Curry was in our Discord. Now he's banned. But again, really awesome. And we will, for the podcast listeners, we will have some links in the description for you guys to be able to join those communities and see some of the events that they are running. But let's move on here and get to the meat and potatoes. Deathblow,
And yeah.
take it away here and walk us through some of these stats and charts that you made for us.
Sure. So last week we took a look at the past matchups of what these two teams did when they faced off against each other. And boy, it was just as square down the middle, even Steven as it could possibly be. 11-11 map record between the two teams, 2-2 match record. We talked a little bit about the specifics. You know, the path here that they took. San Francisco, 16 map win streak heading into this match here on Sunday. Not lost a single map since earmuffs Beej, the C9, and then Vancouver, the moth face. I appreciate the moth face.
There we go.
Not an emote.
Yeah, it's got to be Moth Champ. Just
Is there a moth dead inside a monka moth or something? I don't know.
No, we
Monka
don't allow that. That's everyone
Hey,
just
Moth.
gets sad seeing that, and it's banned. Banned.
I felt I've never man, for somebody that despite the wig, not really a Shock fan. Just never, my heart's never reached out to another athlete, or I've seen people screw up championships, everything. But in sports, there's helmets that hide their face, and with Moth, it was just here's the heartbreak, and it was brutal. But on the other side of things, Vancouver, obviously the path through the winners bracket. Maybe a little bit more difficult of a path to explain some of the map losses, but the convincing win over Seoul 4-2, the Gladiators 4-2, and then the nail biter, the 4-3 victory over the NYXL. So really impressive runs here from both teams. Obviously, you don't get this far if it's a sad story yet, but we wanted to take this week and look maybe a little bit more into some of these numbers here. And I'm not going to read every single map record for every single map, but if you're interested in that, it's in the show notes. I also posted it in the Discord, discord.me/HighNoonPodcast. Please do join us and join into the conversation. If you need a place to watch grand finals and you're not a Shockwave or Yeti, whatever you guys should be, and you want somewhere a little more
What even
general,
are they?
you can watch there. But yeah, we do have Some general numbers here. Obviously, the map pool here for the playoffs on Control, Lijiang Tower, Busan, and Ilios. Vancouver has an edge here in the maps. 30-8 is their map record on Control for the season. San Francisco, it's just 2-12 or 21-12, 2-12. Not reading the
rookie numbers.
regular season. But yeah, 21-12. So an edge here to Vancouver on Control. There are a couple maps. Nope, there's not a couple maps where it's a little bit more in favor of San Francisco there. But very good map records across the board for San Francisco there as well. Moving along to hybrid, we have Kings Row, Numbani, and Eichenwald, a combined record here for Vancouver of 23-5. And a combined record for San Francisco of 22-9. So a much closer affair as far as the percentages for the hybrid map pool. Moving on to Assault, we've got Temple of Anubis, Horizon Lunar Colony, and Hanamura, which I think may have only been played once in the entire playoffs so far. It was very difficult to find what that third map was. Also, probably the least important game mode of them all for what it's worth, because it only comes up once in the 7-map cycle. They don't repeat it a second time. Maybe they do if there's enough ties elsewhere and then they need to go back to it. I'm not 100% certain how that works, but I don't think we've seen them ever go back to it yet in any of even the 8-map sets we've seen. The map record here for Vancouver, 17-7, and San Francisco does put this one in their favor with a record of 22-3. Notably, Temple of Anubis undefeated 9-0, Hanamura undefeated 5-0. So maybe San Francisco really hoping to get the series back into Assault a second time. Last but not least, of course, we have the Escort map pool of Watchpoint, Gibraltar, Dorado, and Rialto. Vancouver's at 17-5. San Francisco is at 21-6. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's a bit of an advantage there for San Francisco, a slight edge on Escort. And of course, we've got to look at the grand total numbers here across all map types, everything that's been played, anytime these teams have played on a playoff map. The record for Vancouver, 87-25, 86-30 for San Francisco. That's a win rate advantage here for Vancouver, I believe, but very close, overall. It's remarkable to me as I continue to look at these numbers. I cannot find a way to make me believe that this is going to be one-sided or not going to be super well contested, and I'm pumped, and I hope they don't disappoint me and nobody stays home or chokes or collapses or anything under the pressure here, because last year was not a super close grand finals, and I do think Overwatch League would be looked at, I think, and more widely accepted if we could point to, that instant classic, that great game, and it's not the first round of the playoffs, San Francisco versus Atlanta. That's certainly up there, and I'll certainly continue to point to it for a long time. But, we do want to have one of those be in the grand finals here. So really hoping they can get it together and everybody can come out and we can get a really close match. I think it would be for the betterment of the league and everybody involved. And it's a lot easier to swallow, I think. As long as it's not hard, as long as it's not a repeat of the Atlanta match or something like that, where it's a travesty, a close match is, I think, easier to swallow for the fans, the players, everybody. You went out, you did your best, you just lost that day.
Minus your blood pressure, of course.
Right. As long as you make it to the end and don't have a heart attack there, you should be fine.
Imagine if a C9 decides the outcome.
Ooh, man, that would be...
I'm triggering some demons here.
I was going to say, I feel like you're just inviting it.
C9 was going to happen
I think, but it was implied. It was implied.
It was, but here's the thing. What are the chances you do 2 C9s in a row and you're not named the Shanghai Dragons? Like, in the playoffs? I mean, I think if
you could make a Vancouver C19s joke at the end of that. It's a stretch, but...
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Actually, no joke.
Down on his
All right. Well, gentlemen, now that we do have this information out there, we've got a little bit of a deep dive knowing exactly how close this is. I'm curious, Beej, we'll start with you. Where do you feel the most confident that San Francisco has the edge? I mean, there's some map records to point it out in particular, but where do you see them as really just being the better team? It's not going to be everywhere, but any game modes or maps in particular that you're really counting on them to be able to take the win on Sunday?
I mean, I think the obvious thing that you point at is, 2CP. Just looking at maps like Anubis and things like that, where we haven't lost that yet. Really just kind of finding our footing on things like that. And those are really good maps to have under your belt when you're a little bit deeper into a series, just to kind of, maybe you're having a rougher time on earlier maps. Maybe you don't win that control map and you kind of revert to that kind of early stage shock where you can't win a control map. And it's nice to have something like that in your back pocket that you can kind of stabilize on and go, okay, let's stop the bleeding. Let's take a deep breath. Like, we've got this. This is our thing. We practiced for it, and kind of get that mental reset. And really on the topic of control too, which I kind of just pointed at as well. But if you look at all of those losses that we had, a lot of that is just early meta shock. The shock takes a couple games rather to rev into things and kind of get metas sorted out and figured out. And unfortunately for the Titans, I think us losing to Atlanta kind of gave us that little, hey, here's an extra couple games to kind of, get things figured out and sorted out. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we crank out for that. But unfortunately for them, I think that kind of takes some of the map records and kind of throws it out.
All right, so Omni, same question. Are you throwing maps out or anything like that? Are you throwing any past results out? Where do you think Vancouver will be able to reliably get their map wins and maybe even seal up the match here?
Pretty interesting to listen to Beej here, and it's just a great example of how polarizing, like complete opposites these teams are now, even opposite colors. But if you had asked me during stage 2, stage 1, when the GOATS meta was in its heyday, I would definitely say Kings Row and Bonnie Hollywood is our joint. We never lost them. We kind of label these maps Hollywood North, Numbani North, just as a joke. But now when we have this new meta, it's kind of flipped. We never were great. Relatively speaking, we never were great in control, but in these playoffs, we haven't lost a control map yet. I think it boils down. So that's my answer to that question. Like, why is that? I think it's kind of like the Tizzy effect. Tizzy has come into this team out of nowhere, and his type of play is really different from what Bumper used to have. In Bumper, we had like a clear spearhead to our team. He just roll in there with his bubble, and the Twilight and Saminsu would give him all the support. Now it's more of a controlled approach. Still the hive mind of Vancouver. Everybody knows exactly where everybody is. So for me, I think Ilios, Lijiang, and Busan are the ones that, whatever control map we're gonna have, we thrive in those maps now. Not to say that we can clutch out control maps, but not as a blind victory as I would normally assume back in when GOATS was a thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at it. There are some things that the map records don't exactly tell you, and you look at hybrid and you call that really close, maybe an advantage for Vancouver, and you look at a map like Numbani and Vancouver hasn't won it yet in the playoffs. So I really think map picking and the ability to kind of navigate your way through the series and put yourself on the maps that give you the best chance to succeed will be really, really important. I think one misstep there from either one of these teams could really be the entire ball game. They're so good. You mentioned control for Vancouver. The ability to put Hacksaw on Genji feels a little bit unlocked to me on control, and you get the ability to put people on some comfort picks on specific maps. And I think if one of these teams has a better handle on what that is for their team, or maybe even what isn't working for the other team than the other, I really think this could. Everything's so close down the line. You get to the point where you're talking about the coaching battle and the map choices, and are they going to the second or the third one on the list? Where's it going to happen? And so it's going to be really interesting to see. These teams have been really smart and navigated these situations exceptionally well throughout the season. The Shock did start slow this year, but obviously didn't drop a map stage 2 till the stage playoffs, and those don't really count anyway. So perfect stage 2 and really hit the ground running from there. And obviously Vancouver just came right in. We've been playing GOATS forever. We won a championship playing GOATS last. While you guys were in your vacations, we were busy winning contenders in Korea.
Time chamber of Korean contenders.
Right. So yeah, we're as far away from that as possible. They're still obviously an incredibly strong team. So really excited to see just how intricate this match gets and how minor the mistakes that prove to be, map and match deciding turn out to be, because it could be really, really razor thin margins here.
And it's really funny how a complete opposite of the control and payload maps are now for Vancouver. The full tinfoil hat theory is that we're sandbagging those types of maps just to appear weak on those.
Let me tell you, it's a fickle mistress to run the sandbag strategy. Let me tell you, it doesn't always work out.
Can I just say too that compared to last year, it's so refreshing to have maps kind of be an important factor on this, as opposed to, okay, this team's mastered the meta, this one hasn't. Here's how the final's going to go. But now it's okay. Both of these teams can play this meta pretty well, so it's going to come down to who plays what on what map. How does that go? Like, what is the map that's going to be picked?
Yeah.
And it's kind of these factors that we're not really going to see until we get into the game, and it's not really this. Yep, they figured it out. So
I think for Blizzard, it's much easier to like do balance maps than to figure out this little puzzle of balancing the pro scene and the ladder, right? And having those different maps, extreme situations of having a really open portion of a map and then going to a really tight one. That will force players to adapt and play diverse metas.
The dream.
Yeah, I mean, this finals is just so much more refreshing because, I mean, we had hope that Philly would put up a fight and potentially even be victors, but like after about the first map of the first game, it was like, oh, we're gonna have to watch 2 days of this. It was pretty brutal, and also we had to watch DJ Khaled as well. But
DJ Khaled.
Yep, that was pretty much the entire concert, or at least I wish it was.
DJ Khaled meta.
Yeah, now we're getting.
I just puked in my mouth. Sorry, what?
Exactly. But we did get the greatest just like hidden joke from Malik ever before that. But yeah, I mean,
yes. PG-13 podcast.
PG-13. Yes, kids, you can look it up whenever. Look it up on your own time. But yeah, I mean, this finals is like. I mean, I talked about it even before this stage, or maybe it was during the stage, where like this San Francisco Shock versus Vancouver Titans has really, in my mind, kind of come up as one of the more organically started rivalries in Overwatch League. Like, you've got Boston versus New York, which in itself, it's like the Boston versus New York in and of itself, regardless of Overwatch League, is an organic rivalry because it's like the Northeast teams, the two big superstars, Northeast teams, their rivals and other things. But like for Overwatch itself, that's not really organic because it's like, oh, well, they're Boston and New York. They have to hate each other, right? And also the teams aren't on the same level. The only other one that feels organic is the
LA?
Battle of LA. Yep. Battle for LA, which is like, okay, they're playing in LA. Both teams' fans come to the home games, and you get the shields up versus wings out. Like it's really cool. But this rivalry, like, there's no inherent reason for Vancouver and San Francisco necessarily to. I guess they're Northwest teams.
Only the hockey fans are used to it.
Right. But like these teams, regardless of any other factors, just because they have both been so good and they've met in 2-stage playoffs, right? 2-stage playoffs.
Yeah.
So
There's
far.
a lot of things, a lot of things in common for the cities too. Great food, diverse cultures, and a huge bubble of real estate prices just going up and up and up.
Weird. That's the same for every city in the U.S. Every city.
Trying to escape reality in my esports. Thank you very much.
You'd think that, but you should check like Vancouver prices now. But...
Well, I'm kidding because Buffalo
Here,
prices
so,
are quite affordable. one of the selling points of living in Buffalo.
Living room, bathroom. So
living room, bathroom, and an insane asylum, all in one for only $3,000 a month.
Buy your own padding.
BYOP, bring your own padding. But yeah, I mean, I am very excited for this, and like Deathblow said earlier, like I am I mean, Deathblow and I decided that we're going to be, leaning more towards the shock. Deathblow's not wearing that orange hair for his health, or at least I don't think he is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Although I've got some green. I've got some green here. We've got we got some mascots here. This is a Vancouver Titans fan.
Vancouver Kermit.
Yeah, no. But I'm really hoping more so than anything for a good match of Overwatch. I mean, that's what we were hoping for last year, and it absolutely did not happen. Let's move on here. What were you going to say?
That's exactly what I'm rooting for, is a 7-map set.
Yes.
Or an 8-map set would be preferred to me, until the face paint and the wig go on Sunday. And then I will just
want it to be over.
I just gotta. Well, maybe the wig. Although I'm getting used to it as the show's going on. It was in the first 20 minutes, I was trying not to scratch so bad.
Here's the thing: you won't feel all sweaty and disgusting, and you won't keep feeling like you're sweating and getting wetter if you're already drenched in sweat.
Let me just say, I don't know if you watched that 8-map Contenders series. But
I was just about to say, yeah,
we
have experience,
and that's not even having a team in the race. Like, just hey, I'm gonna watch this, highly competitive Overwatch series. I was tired just watching that. So I can only imagine if I'm like actually invested in a team, blood pressure, like it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't normally do this, but to address chat, Kirk, you said to bring out the dye. Don't worry, the beard needs covered too, so there is orange and silver dye ready to go.
And we joked, or at least many thought we were joking on the show last time about bringing a little mini hoop and dunking on random Vancouver fans. Well, think again, because the Super Slammer has been purchased.
Yes.
We'll be tossing alley-oops, and I will be throwing down.
We don't really recognize that sport here in Vancouver. We had like a weird history of that. So
yes, when Mike Bibby is your most recognizable player.
What about Big Country? Come on.
Oh yeah, Big Country too. Who else was?
Man,
I'm trying to think who else was on the Grizzlies.
Sharif
Muggsy Bogues was Muggsy Bogues on the Grizzlies.
Abdul-Rahim was there.
Long story short,
Damon Stoudemire. Come on.
The long story short is when Mike Bibby is one of the top players that you remember as an export from your basketball organization, you're not necessarily looking at the most successful org.
Than he is now, oddly, but
yeah.
At least you have the Supersonics near. Oh.
Oof.
How to do it.
So good. I mean, Buffalo doesn't even have a basketball team. That's why I cling on to the world champion Toronto Raptors. So,
isn't that in a different country?
Okay, Drake.
Hey, I'm closer to Toronto than you are. All right.
But I'll just put it back.
I don't even have anything I can grab. I can only grab Kermit here. But we heard you both.
Poor Kermit.
Yikes. We heard you both talk about where you guys think your strengths and your teams lie, but now as the nefarious hosts, we get to ask you the fun question of where you think your enemy's weaknesses lie. So Beej, we'll start with you. What is going to be the downfall of Vancouver here?
Downfall for Vancouver lies in not being able to consistently pin down Sinatra, is kind of what it's going to boil down to. He has learned to be significantly more patient with his aggression now, and is a lot better at waiting out the enemy team for opportunities on things. We saw this a lot against New York, and while they were able to kind of stall him out at certain points, I specifically recall Kings Row watching him charge up a punch as I see Sigma charging a rock to throw at where he was going to go and caught him. But you can't do that every single time. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. So if they're not able to consistently pin him down, he's just going to pop off on them. And that's kind of going to be what it boils down to. They've also, which isn't necessarily their fault, kind of lost that fear factor that they had kind of coming into the league. especially that first couple of stages when they were kind of, new kid on campus, been working together for the past year, masters of the meta that was still continuing on into the league. Shock were playing really scared. And I mean, there's those classic videos of people going, hey, why are you playing so scared? Just don't play scared. And you see them kind of being, a lot of teams that play against Vancouver just being timid. And you can tell now, having watched the Shock Excelsior game, that they're not anymore. Like, you watch them consistently engage 5v6s and 4v6s, 1 or 2 men down, and win those fights. So that fear of that team is just not there anymore. And so they're going to be playing hyper aggressive and thinking that they can win. And I think that's going to, unfortunately, kind of lead to their downfall. I think when you have two teams that are this closely matched, that mind game is huge. And I think the Shock have already kind of won that game.
Definitely an interesting take there, for sure. We've definitely seen a lot of improvement for the Shock in that area.
Sinatra's not the MVP for no reason. He's also not the MVP because of his DPS play, but he's not the MVP for no.
Zarya deals damage per second.
They all
Just
do.
saying.
They all do.
No, slight aside on that, though, let me just say it's super refreshing to see this bit of Doomfist meta going on right now, because I'm glad that he gets the chance to play a technically DPS hero and just pop off on it and kind of show, hey, this is why I'm the most valuable player. It's not just this meta, it's these metas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the ones, even the people that, the Sinatra haters, looking at you people in our Discord, even they, I think, would admit he was one of the better Doomfist players going into the season or before it became meta. It was really Tracer.
But
Doomfist.
he's a Tracer one trick, Deathblow. Remember, he's a Tracer one trick.
Oh wait, maybe that was.
And that's what the critics said.
Maybe that was us that said that. I don't remember.
He doesn't have the. Maybe I don't know. I know now that I've got this wig. I never said any such thing. So it's great that you're absolutely correct. It's great that he's going to really get a chance to shine and prove why he got that MVP award and do it in the postseason. But Omni, let's turn it around on you. How about Vancouver? Where can they attack the San Francisco Shock, and what mistakes will the SF Shock make that give the Titans the advantage?
Agree with 2 points that Beej said. Definitely Sinatra is the main focus of that team, and when we played them the last time, it was, if he was alive, we were basically losing fight. But once he was down, and that's kind of like also the blessing and the curse of having such a team. And to the second point, he did improve. He was able to be more patient, but you can afford being patient in this Canadian actor, and when you are in the losers bracket. So I think there was a little bit different. And now to where I think we can excel. A lot of people call this, I don't know, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. meta, and we definitely can talk into real blue in the face how Sigma and Orisa are now the core competency, but I disagree. Boring as hell. And second, I think Beej will agree with me. I think that the focal point of this meta is the Doomfist. So the Moira. The two DPS in this meta are Moira and Doomfist, really. And I think that we have an edge here. Haxel and Twilight can definitely take over a game and win us fights. Haxel, we actually had the privilege of meeting the Titans when we came for a visit. We asked him, now I kind of spoiled the question, but when we asked him what his favorite hero to play was, he didn't say it was during Goat's meta. He said it was definitely Doomfist, and he definitely has shown that even fights that we were not really doing great in, he'll just pop off and kill 3 in a row. There was a fight there against NYXL in Tower of Anubis. A lot of examples. I'm not just going to call them all out. And I think going through the losers bracket kind of actually had an adverse effect on the Shock, I think. And if we take the first couple of maps really quickly, I think they can tilt and feel a pressure that they haven't felt just by 4-0ing the entire, and this is not their fault, right? They've been much better than their opponents going through the 4-0 losers bracket, but I think this might hurt them in the long run.
How is 4-0ing every team?
Because you've been accommodated with winning too easily, and once let's just say this, I do agree that we never faced
4-0ing the team you won 4-3.
I know, it's true. And we haven't faced a team as strong as San Francisco Shock, but I also think that you would agree that San Francisco Shock has not faced a team as good as the Titans. And if things start going off a little bit for the Shock, that, in my opinion, would be kind of like what gives us the edge.
I think we kind of had that with Atlanta, and I think the case there was kind of just Atlanta kind of being ahead of the game on the meta learning curve. I think Atlanta kind of
not tactful.
They didn't have them. However, but that was, I mean, a lot of this meta, which is kind of the opposite take of what you're saying. I do think that the Sigma has a lot to do with things, because I think that Sigma is going to kind of be having a good Sigma will counter that dominant Doomfist or Moira that you're talking about. If they are good enough to, and they're not just kind of, okay, I'm filling my role here, but if they're able to excel, I think that will dominate over those. And I think here it's really going to be kind of, the battle of our tanks. It's going to be, is Choi going to pop off? Is Jano going to pop off? Who's going to pop off on that Sigma? Whoever is able to kind of negate that mobility on the other team better, I think is going to win this. And Choi's online now. That's all I'm saying.
I was going to say, if it's a battle of the off time, and Blevins can vouch for me on this one, since before a match of Season 2 has been played, I have been screaming that Choi Hyobin is the most underrated off-tank player in an Overwatch league, hands down.
And you wouldn't expect, like, everybody was talking about Choi Hyobin and about, Gator at a point, but a stat that really impressed me that Jano actually had the best stats on Sigma going into the last match. So.
Yeah, it's Choi definitely took a while to get into form. Those first couple of games that he had were a learning curve. And fortunately, up until now at least, it's been a double elimination tournament, so we kind of had that chance to kind of get warmed up. We had the extra games to play now to get warmed up. So that's going to be what I'm watching the most. And I know that Shock fans and Shockwaves are super excited for that. If you say the word Choi or Choi Hyobin in the Shock Discord, just Choi all over the place. Like they're obsessed.
Yeah.
So
it's probably most of them share his rank too. So
Beej, did he climb out of gold?
Gold player, by the way.
Did he make it out of there? Oh man, that was too funny.
That really was hilarious. But I mean, Death, I think we obviously have two people on here, one picking the Shock and one picking the Titans. Do we want to have, we'll take ourselves out of this. Do we want to have an official coin deciding of the Overwatch League Grand Finals?
Oh God.
I think we should, I think the coin should weigh in.
Well, we're clearly too biased. I mean, I bought a wig today, so I'm clearly way too biased to weigh in. We'll let the coin do it.
That's what I'm saying. The coin should weigh in.
Yeah. We'll let the coin.
This is official, folks. This is the official High Noon Podcast coin. This will decide it. I don't know what anyone thinks. Skill, who cares? History doesn't matter. Records couldn't possibly matter. Even less than
a coin or a C9 deciding it.
It's a coin.
It's one coin.
Yeah, we can't actually. I can't remember a single time the coin has predicted an outcome of a match incorrectly. That may be because I've never once checked.
Never even a single time checked.
But it also could be that it's never been wrong. So let's just flip it and see what happens. We're gonna go with Tails for San Francisco, since I'm rooting for San Francisco and Tails never fails. Heads, by the way, has a beard on it, so I know our guests might not know. But so you can see the coin's also proven to be weighted. I don't know, but it's been weighted in different directions on multiple occasions.
Depends
so
on.
Is it the weight of carrying bumper that kind of like skews it, or?
Ooh.
No, if it was bumper, I'd have to throw it across the room.
Yeah, you have to throw it across the room.
Man.
Bubble it before.
No, you
Just charge after it and
Hanzo
somehow
shoot it
live.
across the room.
Yeah. Okay, so it's going to be heads for Vancouver and
moment
tails
we've
for the
all
San Francisco
been waiting
Shock.
for.
Drum rolls in chat.
I mean, I know who won. No, I'll say it is tails. So the coin is going for the San Francisco Shock, and yeah, nobody can ever prove that the coin's been wrong unless you go back and listen to old episodes.
This is a sting operation.
It's literally become, now that you throw the coin into the weight of these things, It's literally 4v1 against Omnistrife here. Poor guy.
I love chat is going crazy right now over the coin picking the shot. I now understand why Groundhog's Day is a thing. It's because the people running Groundhog's Day are like, wow, these people will get excited about literally anything. That is amazing. But Deathblow, I know you had one last question for our guests here.
Yeah, so let's start with Omni. Omni, now I know you can't make it to the grand finals on Sunday, but if you were there, what would the sign that you were holding say on it?
It would say, "We are owl level," as fanboy triggering as that sounds.
Well, maybe on Sunday you can prove that that's true.
Finally.
Beej, finally, because we don't know yet. We don't know if you're owl
All
caliber
these
yet. It's just not
contenders,
been figured
contenders,
out.
truthers in chat.
Honestly, I will give you this. I would fight anyone that makes that meme that Vancouver's not Overwatch League caliber.
Oh,
I
man,
would fight them on your honor.
I've been making it all
Gotta
week.
respect
and
our-
I don't know if you realize how big I am. What about you? What would your sign say if you were in the arena on Sunday?
Easy choice, and this just comes from something that we kind of started doing in the community on Twitter and in Discord, and we even have emotes for it in the Discord now. It would just be #winnable, because we, as our team's kind of shown us through this whole season, any match, any series, any map's been winnable, and we've come back from a lot, and we came from a really rough last season to be here. Yeah, so #winnable.
Gotcha.
As
You
you, can
guys
see in
know
the chat.
that
As you can see in the chat.
you guys know that this Carpe might wear orange, but he plays for a different team, right? I just wanted to make sure. But
Yeah, where's he at? What happened to him? Sorry.
Well,
Billy.
where's he at, or where's he going to be playing next season?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
think those
true.
are two different answers.
Any truers?
But yeah, listen, guys, if you're listening, if you have any good ideas in chat while we do wrap up the show here, let us know any good sign ideas that you do have. I know it's a little bit heavy on the Shock fandom in chat at the moment, but since we'll be in orange, I'm not going to be holding a Vancouver sign. So if you have any good ideas, definitely do let us know.
What should we put
Oh,
on
spam
the
fan
backboard
mode.
of the Super Slammer? What should we?
Last year I was repping Philly. I showed up and I had a Justice for Joe Meister sign. That was a good one that a fan fed to me from Discord. So by all means, feel free to send us any good sign ideas that you could have for this. I'm trying to think, like Tizzy Who. I don't know, something like that, since he's new. And
Is it anything, or is it Vancouver related specifically? Like, what's the? I didn't see the context of it from before, so.
What, the signs? No, just
Yeah.
any good sign, whichever team you're rooting for. Just we really
Oh no,
enjoy.
I'm sorry, the backboard.
Right now,
When
it's
you
like-
hoist that trophy, you're gonna know who he is.
So we're gonna be. There's like a little like tailgate thing, and I stole this from Bill's
Right.
Mafia. We're gonna go around. So we have a group of. Well, we technically have 4 people. We've got me, we've got Death, we've got Thornrain, and we've got Thornrain's son. So we're gonna do a setup where Deathblow is gonna be holding the backboard of the Super Slammer. Thornrain or his son is going to have the ball, and I'm going to be on the other side of the person. So Deathblow, one of us is going to give the signal. Deathblow is going to hold the backboard above a Vancouver Titans fan. Thornrain is going to throw me the alley-oop, and I am going to slam the ball down and just be
Suggestion.
dunking on people. All right, I'm
As
open.
you
I'm
dunk,
listening.
you yell "Meteor Strike." You dunk it in, and then
Yes.
all of you around just go "Endese, Endese, Endese." Sinatra Doomfist
It's
Slam,
not
dude.
dead.
Doomfist Slam.
That's true.
There you go. You're welcome.
What is your favorite Doomfist line? Really, is that chivalry?
Endese. That's the classic.
gonna
It's the
say Endese,
classic
yeah, it's gotta
spammer
be.
line.
Favorite is ah.
That's a pretty good second.
He said
Strike.
meteor strike. Since we'll be wearing media badges, I don't think we
Yes.
should be running around chanting media strike. That might give a different impression.
Media strike. I think that's great. I'm doing that.
Oh man,
I'll just be
Fox
standing
News
there
shows up.
and they say,
dude, it's from the
This'll be-
Overwatch League.
this'll be
Meteor
the-
Strike.
This will be the last grand finals, or anything for that matter, that we're invited to. But
but
it will
if you
absolutely be
can't
worth it.
tell, If you
Yeah.
are going to the grand finals this weekend, we are going to be ridiculously easy to spot. I'm literally 6'6". I will be in face paint and hair dye and a wig. It should be no problem at all to find me. Blevins is a little bit shorter. We'll also be all colored up.
Yes.
We'll be posterizing people in the parking lot. We're planning on having a really good time. Listen, if our teams can't make it, there's no reason we should have any less fun with the event. We hope everybody going has a similar approach and attitude about it. It should be a really, really good time. Everybody be safe, have fun at the event. If you see large men carrying a basketball and you don't want to get posterized, run.
Run.
But otherwise,
Please find our,
stop by and say hello. We would love to meet you. And again,
So
we
good.
are doing the meetup. Even if you've never, your first time listening to the show, you just want something to do on Saturday night, 9 p.m. at Palladium. We will see you guys there.
Absolutely. And that's going to wrap it up here for this Overwatch League Grand Finals chat amongst representatives from both teams. I want to put out a huge thank you to Beej and Omni here. Thank you guys for coming on and providing a little context and color for the two teams. Omni, we'll start with you. Where can people find you and your community on the internet?
Find me personally at Omnistrife on Twitter, and our podcast community at ReadySetPwn on Twitter. That's PWN. And from there you can definitely find our link to our Discord. And we are a weekly podcast, so give us a listen.
Absolutely do that, folks. Beej, what about you?
So the SF Shockwaves, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. We also have our Facebook group that's kind of like the core of the group, and you get to hear a little bit of like news and special events and discounts and things early before anyone else, which is at sfshockwaves.com. Redirects you over to that. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in joining the crew. I personally am at twitter.com/Beej the Square, because I'm a giant square. Long story. Feel free to ask me sometime. And thank you guys so much for having us on. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to a good series.
Well, next time you're here, Beej, we're getting that story, I promise.
Deal.
For sure. But again, thank you to our guests. Thank you for everyone who listened. And just thanks everyone for a really great season. It's always, DB and I we've been doing this for a long time, and it's been getting better and better every year. This season was great, and we're super excited for OWL 2020, but we're even more excited, at least now, for the Overwatch League Grand Finals. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at High Noon Podcast, because we are likely going to be either putting up video or live streaming interviews if we can't. Whatever they allow us to do, we are going to do at the actual grand finals. We are lucky enough to get media access, so if we can get some interviews, we can get live interviews. At the very worst, we'll record them and put them up on Twitter. And you can also follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. That's where we'll be going live. But all of the links and whatnot will be down in the description below. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you, everyone, for listening. For Beej, for Omni, for Deathblow, for this entire season of Overwatch League 2019. Remember, guys, it's high noon.
Got his boots
It's
and
high
he put
noon.
on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way.
My podcast.
He's not good, but he sure ain't
Thank you.
bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Okay, guys, we're gonna do one last thing this season. If you're rooting for San Francisco, at Kyle Wynn in the Discord and type in a 1, and if you're rooting for Vancouver, at Kyle Wynn in the Discord and type in a 2. That no explanation needed.
There now.